make it better, I think.
Okay, we are going to call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Minutes and reports received and filed.
We have the recorder's July 2023 fees and the county clerk's July 2023 fees.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Well, we got the Cole County Fair all week and got the livestock auction tomorrow night. Communities meeting Thursday morning. Got retirement breakfast for an employee Thursday morning as well. And I think our social in the afternoon, so
Yeah,
it's all day thing. Got a Cole County Extension meeting Thursday evening. Ham and bacon breakfast Friday morning. Eastside Business Association meeting Friday morning. Osage Bend picnic is Sunday.
yep.
And then they're doing is it the Historic City of Jefferson doing the Lincoln Tour Sunday as well, I think?
Oh, I don't know.
I've got it on the calendar. I guess I better
Yeah,
some check.
I think it is.
So,
Yeah, I think you're right.
Was it HCJ doing that?
Yes,
I
it
don't
is.
know for sure,
They've
so.
always done neighborhoods, and so they thought they'd do Lincoln University this year.
Okay, so that's about it.
I think you've covered everything, Jeff, except the West Side Business Association on Thursday morning, which is always a
We
conflict
got
with
three things we can do.
Cole County Communities.
Yeah, I've got that. Friday after the Country Ham Breakfast, I have a National Guard luncheon in the Capitol awards thing. And then Saturday, our state meeting for the ESGR National Guard is always at Ike Skelton. They couldn't get anything, so I'm posting that at the chamber. And Sunday I'll be at Osage Bend. That is it. Okay. Bids and contracts. Signing of the 2023-2024 DWI Highway Safety Grant Award. How about all these are, there's the sheriff.
Yeah,
Who is-
Chief Hoy dropped his phone, figured the sheriff wasn't here to mouth him about that, so.
Does anybody know anything about the DWI Highway Safety Grant? Otherwise we'll just,
Three accidents.
I'm sorry?
Had nothing to do with me. I wasn't even there, but I'm just gonna use it as an excuse why I wasn't here, so.
I was just gonna say that we'll pass on it and not.
I just think you should just approve it no matter what. Which one are we on?
We are on the 2023-24 DWI Highway Safety Grant Award.
Guess you have two of them, don't you?
Yeah.
The HMV.
So the highway safety grant is for $4,420. This is every year we do this. It's for DWI enforcement. It's the wolf packs that we put out on the field.
What's a wolf pack?
That's when we used to do the checkpoints, but because of social media and some other issues, we decided not to do that anymore. So now what we do is we'll take 3 cars or 4 cars and just put them out in the community in high risk areas for DWI that we've had accidents and stuff like that for.
Okay.
During World War II, the German U-boats operated in wolf packs as well. Just a little bit of history.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
do. Yeah.
They lost.
At least they didn't bring up the Wolfpack on the Hangover movie, so. Could've went a couple different ways.
Are we doing both the DWI and
well,
the HMV
There,
or?
we got them
Yeah, you can do
separately.
the HMV if you want to. The HMV is $6,000 and it's the hazardous moving violations. That's when we put, we'll take people and put them out in high risk areas where we've had accidents because of speed and that's where some of the communities, when they come to us and say that we've been having a lot of speeding and stuff, we'll take use this grant, to be able to put those guys in the community.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it with 2 motions. Motion to approve and sign the 23-24 DWI Highway Safety Grant Award.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion to approve and sign
I was unavoidable.
the 23-24 HMB Highway Safety Grant Award.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I suppose these yellow tabs mean that I'm supposed to initial every page?
Yeah, unfortunately. And a thumbprint. That's not asking too much. Take a piece of your hair, each one of them also.
Okay,
Blood.
we gotta keep moving ahead. Agreement for City of Russellville to collect their tax liens. Our collector, Vincent, I assume that is why you're here.
Doing Russellville first.
Yes,
Russellville wants us to start collecting their fines, liens for cleaning up properties. We don't have a contract with them right now. This will be the contract to put that in force. Jill has reviewed the contract and is good with it. I just need Sam's signature on it.
after doing all these initials, I don't know if I'll have any ink left to do a signature.
It's all about me, Larry.
I got another copy.
It's up to you. If they want original, we can have Sam sign it too.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you want to see it, or are you good?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with the city of Russellville to collect their tax liens.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agreement for Village of Centertown to collect their tax liens.
This is basically the exact same thing. Start collecting their liens if they have them.
Okay, you good? All right, I make a motion to approve the agreement with Centertown to collect their tax liens.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Elvie.
We're glad to see you up here too. Okay, discussion of HVAC contract on the annex. So, let me finish signing this. And we had open bids, I guess, and had awarded it to Harold Butzer. And then we had some issues, I think train, they were supposed to bid on train. And we did have a clause in the pre-bid on like or similar product, but that wasn't brought to us, so. Anyway, that's what we're gonna discuss, so.
Jason. Sit here.
Sure.
He is the president and general manager, so.
Yep. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us this morning. So we put together what we feel is a responsive bid to the request. And so what I would like to point out is on page 6 of the bid documents, it says the county's sole purpose and evaluation process is to determine from among the responses received which one is best suited to meet the county's needs at the lowest possible cost. Okay? So when I read that, you're looking at the most cost-effective solution. Okay? The project bid, the plans and the specifications are laid out as train equipment, okay? The train equipment is, as I'm reading page 5, there's an equivalent material equipment clause. And in that clause, it states, any listed manufacturer model numbers or a definite reference to a particular material or piece of equipment is intended to establish a minimally acceptable design. Okay, so that does not say that Train is the only bidder. It says that there are opportunities to look at other alternate materials and equipment that meet the design. It does not say Train only. I reference the bid document. The bid document, there's a spot for total project cost, alternate 1 price, which is for additional work, an alternate 2 price, which is for additional work. Okay, so there's nothing in the bid document, bid form, that says total project cost with Train equipment. It just says total project cost. So when we evaluated our bids, we had 3 estimators working on this project. We've probably spent somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000 putting together the bid for this project. We received equipment quotes from Train, from Carrier, and from Dyke & McQuay. And talking to your engineer of record, he coordinated with all 3 vendors. So when I'm bidding the job, I'm looking at, in the evaluation process, that you are open, you're looking for the lowest responsible bid at the most cost-effective, at the lowest possible cost. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, we've spent 3 weeks of time here putting this bid together, 3 guys a week. I've got Randy Kemper looking at the controls, Cole County resident. Curtis Dittmer on the mechanical equipment and piping side, he's a Cole County resident. And Brad Armstrong on our sheet metal side. We're putting together this bid and we're trying to provide the county with the most effective, cost-effective solution. We get the numbers in on bid day. Carrier was the low bid. Train was the high bid. McQuay, Dyke & McQuay was in the middle. So we had to evaluate, if I would have used the Train bid, my bid would have been $1,097,942. With the Carrier package, I'm at $918,400. We submitted that because we had no way to, the bid document did not allow us to bid a Train bid and an alternate Carrier bid. We had 1 line item. Typically, when you alter a bid document, the bid gets rejected. So all of this could have been avoided had we had a bid document that said base bid Train, base bid alternate equipment. But there is no way to do that with this bid document. It did not allow for it. So at the time of the bid, we chose to use the Carrier bid because it was $179,542 cheaper. And I'm assuming that you guys have budgets, and typically the low bid wins the job. And according to your bid document, it says that you guys are interested in the most cost-effective, lowest price project that meets the intent of the design.
So when the pre-bid meeting, did you make them aware, Jessica and Greg aware, that you were bidding Carrier and not Train?
We did not,
Okay.
but they did not make us aware.
Well, and going to whatever page, equivalent material equipment, it says, acceptance is subject to approval of the county, which may request further information, samples, and/or a demonstration prior to bid award. Cole County shall be the sole judge of equivalency. And then under like or similar product, it says Cole County reserves the right at its sole discretion to obtain like or similar products and/or services, so that which has been specified herein, when use of such product or service is deemed in the best interest of the county of Cole.
I agree that it says that, but it does not say in the bid documents that we have to use Train.
Jason, in
And
the
I'll-
pre-bid, train was to Curtis, who was sitting right there.
Greg, come
Greg,
up, come up. Debbie.
In the day of the pre-bid, Wayne was here, I was here, Jessica was here, Curtis, Environmental, and United was here. They were all told Train Equipment and Honeywell Automation per those sheets.
There's
Now,
no-
wherever you got the carrier from Wayne or whatever, I don't know.
Well, your consulting engineer coordinated with Carrier and with TMI. And so when they're coordinating with the engineer, I'm assuming that the engineer, why didn't he state to them, you're not acceptable? It muddied the waters.
Also, that goes back to any request for, other than what was spec'd out, has to be talked to Jessica first to send to us for approval, which is whatever page it's on.
And I think the scope of work in here specifies the architect drawings as to what they were asking for, whether it was Train or whether it was Honeywell or what it was. So in the scope of work in the RP, it states, check that document to know what you're supposed to bid on these other items. And the other two bidders did that. So,
Well, had I used the Train bid documents or the Train bid, I would have been low. My focus is, I'm looking at this and saying that you guys are willing to entertain the lowest responsive bid. My suggestion would be, let's get the Carrier product in front of your consulting engineer to see if it meets the standards, the minimum required standards based on page 5 of the document, and see if he's feeling like these pieces of equipment meet the spec. My concern is as a Cole County citizen, we're talking about almost $180,000. And again, that's the reason I made the decision to use it, is because right here it states that you're looking at the lowest responsive bid.
Well, again, I think, I wish you would have said that at the pre-bid meeting, that you were bidding Carrier and not
Well, we didn't
Train.
know we were
It's,
bidding Carrier at the time because we had no quote from them until after the bid documents were sent out. We don't get a quote prior to the pre-bid meeting. We go to the pre-bid meeting, we listen, we get the information, we disseminate that out to our suppliers. Then we get a quote. I got the quote the day of the bid. That's when we get our numbers, our Train number, our Carrier number, our TMI number. They wait until the last minute to get us the information. I did not have time to come and tell you. I didn't know until an hour before the bids were due that Carrier was the low equipment package on the project. So my thinking is it would be a great exercise for the citizens of Cole County to look at our proposal, look at our submittals, and evaluate.
and unfortunately, as we look at it, we put this out to bid. We had 2 other vendors that actually bid on it and did the right, what we asked for in there. So you basically have 3 options. You can reject all of the bids that have been presented and rebid it. You can let Bud sort of withdraw theirs because it wasn't meeting the specs. or they can accept it for what they bid it for.
So that's where I argue, it says right here that alternate equipment is reviewable by the county. So what you're saying is you're not willing to review our information.
I don't think that's fair to the other vendors that bid on this project.
It
because they
said
did
that it
fine.
has to be done before the bid is awarded, is the language.
You know, we've got air conditioning equipment in more than one place. There's been a attempt to standardize that. So if Greg's got Train in one place, Carrier in another place, something else in another place, and he says to employee X, go fix juvenile. And he goes, wait a minute, I don't know that one. I know the annex and I know health, but I don't know that one. So and go put the filters in juvenile. Well, we're out of those filters, but we got filters over on the other, but they don't fit. We're trying to standardize things.
Then
Now,
my comment would be, why is the equivalent material and equipment in the bid package? It shouldn't have been in there.
why is the word train in the bid package is more important to me.
Train is the basis of design, okay? We have every mechanical engineer, engineer of record, has to start with something, okay? To create the minimally acceptable standard. Okay? Train, Carrier, McQuay, they all make air-cooled chillers. They all make fan coil units. They all have the same performance levels. It's like buying a Chevrolet 3/4 ton truck with a diesel engine versus a Ford 3/4 ton diesel truck. It's an equivalent product. And you're talking about $180,000 worth of extra cost for the citizens of Cole County. And again, if this wouldn't have been in there, I would have used the Train product too, but it's in there. And that's the argument that I have is, I'm looking at this, I'm bidding a competitive bid that's out there for the public. It's a public bid, and typically the low bid wins the job. If the engineer had not coordinated with Carrier, I wouldn't have had a Carrier quote to even contemplate, but he did. And so if the engineer's working with that vendor, then I'm saying, I gotta consider it. He's working with them. And everybody else is getting a quote from Carrier. I chose to use it because I read this statement, okay? There's nothing in here, in this front end, that says you have to use Train. It says right here that alternate manufacturers would be considered.
It says it'd be considered, but it didn't say it would be.
For $180,000, I think it ought to be considered.
Well, and this is before my time, but I know they went with the lowest and cheapest over at the jail, and we've got crap over there.
The jail was laid
So-
out on Aon.
Yeah, so
Aon-
anyway, but that's not,
Aon is
that's-
the equipment that you have over there. It's not Train or Carrier.
no, but
But that's what was installed.
Train was what, yeah.
So I have a hard time agreeing with the idea that $180,000 should just be thrown to the side. I'm sure you have other needs out elsewhere where that $180,000 could come into play.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with the $180,000 because in talking with Greg when we had this engineered inspect, I think something that we took into consideration was, the life cycle of the equipment. And I think that's gonna make a difference too. So that's why it was spec. So we go with lowest and best, not just. lowest. I see where you're coming
My
from,
request,
Jason.
my request is let the engineer review our submittals and see.
I'm not gonna say absolutely no to it today, but I'm afraid to open that can of worms. I'm not sure if that opens up a lot of problems on bids coming down the road.
Well,
I-
I'd say that the big part of your problem is your bid documents.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
These
If
bid
there's
documents need
language
to
in
be
there that needs to be
revised
addressed.
to eliminate that. If you're not gonna accept alternate materials, then you shouldn't have a clause in there that says you're gonna consider them.
And I don't think that, I mean, if you would've came to us and said, this is what we bid something comparable, it is different, please consider us, it says this in your documents, before we awarded the bid, I think it would've been,
And Jeff, my thought on that was, that's what your consulting engineer is for. If he reviews our submittals and says they don't meet the intent of the design, then by all means, go to the next bidder.
yeah, I think that he did look at it, and that's why it wasn't part of the bid.
But why did we get a
originally,
quote, why did we
so-
get a quote from Carrier then? I don't
I don't
get it.
know,
They-
was it Wayne that did it, that you said, I forget his name,
I
but.
know Wayne was
um,
looking at a lot of different equipment before this even went out to bid.
Well,
I don't know if Carrier was one he contacted prior to this going out to bid, or whoever else he talked to.
if I would've had the train quote and the train quote only, I would be low and we wouldn't be having this discussion. These bid documents screwed it up.
But it does say they have to be prior to the bid being awarded. That's period.
I didn't have that information.
Well, I mean, the documents are fine. The documents say it has to be prior. So that's where we're at.
Which paragraph was that? 2 point what?
2.9.
Okay, quite good. My eyes aren't that good.
It would have been a lot easier had there not been any confusion on the deal. And so if we do get rejected, I'm gonna be frustrated because we spent our time putting in my mind, a responsive bid based on the bid documents.
But we also have 2 other vendors that spent that same time and did meet the requirements.
But I would have been low had the bid documents not been unclear.
I think the scope of the work was very clear.
We bid jobs every day. We do this for a living. These documents are not clear.
When did you know they were not clear?
Well, when we found out that we're being rejected, I'm saying, why?
Well, you say they're not clear.
Right.
My question to you is, when did you determine they're not clear?
I feel that they're very clear. It states right here that equivalent material is something that you guys would consider. When I'm having the discussion with Greg, Greg's saying, no, they're not. And so that's my frustration, is I am reading this and I am interpreting what I am reading based on what it says. And he's got a different view than I do. And I get it. He wants to have train equipment. He's the guy that's taking care of the building. And yeah, I understand that from a maintenance standpoint. But as a mechanical contractor that's bidding the work, that's not how it reads.
So were the details of the alternate included in the submission in your bid?
We did not submit that with the bid.
Okay. I'm just reading directly from
Right.
this, Jason.
We did not.
It is to be understood that any equivalent alternate which will perform adequately the duties imposed by the general design may be proposed and bid so long as sufficient details necessary to establish equivalency are included in the submission.
Yes.
And I think if we knew that, because I asked Greg that this morning specifically, I said, well, when we got our bids, did it specify what they were bidding? And he says, no, the bids did not. You just got the price, but our specs.
So the issue with that is, again, we did not have the information at bid time. My assumption was you have a consulting engineer who does the review of all submittals for the project. That's what he is there for, is to review that stuff. We would love to have an opportunity to submit that to him for review. so the county can save $180,000.
I think that's why we went through the exercise of having him get things designed up and to help us pick the manufacturer or whatever unit we wanted to go with.
So, again,
So-
I agree with your statement, and had we not had Carrier and TMI coordinating with the engineer, I would have said, Train's the only bidder. We would have only had one quote.
But I
But
don't
we
know.
had, we had 3 quotes that were coordinated with the consultant.
I don't know what he was doing with them necessarily, if he went through that exercise before y'all even had to do your bids, and that's why they had the information, and he looked at it and said, well, there's, you know, probably gonna be $100 and some thousand difference, but this manufacturer's gonna have a better, in the long run, gonna be better for us, and the life cycle, less repairs,
I don't know,
maintenance.
I don't know what the engineer's train of thought was there, but if that was the case, why did he work with them? Why
I would
did
say
we-
he worked with them to work with all of them, just like you all went out and looked at all of them,
And,
is what I'm guessing.
and again, the reason we did is because there's that clause in the bid documents that says alternates would be reviewed.
And as long as sufficient details were included in the submission of your bid, so
So, yeah, that's the sticking point. We didn't have that information at the time. We'll be glad to share it with you, and we'd be glad to present it to you.
I think in the bid submission, you could have put, this is our bid, and it is using this manufacturer,
We
not.
can't alter the bid documents.
You can't stick a note or a.
Any other project that we do business with, we cannot alter the bid documents.
No, but you could put a note explaining that you are bidding Carrier and why you're bidding Carrier.
That's why
Because
I'm here
the other
today.
two actually did bid Train. So,
And-
I
and
mean, they followed, so,
I followed the rules. I followed the information in your bid documents.
It would have been prior to follow that rule.
yeah.
Is it common to get your numbers the morning of?
Yes. Yes, usually it's about an hour before the bids are turned in.
For all that.
Makes it convenient for
Yeah,
them.
I mean, we have no opportunity to vet anything out. We have to make a decision. And again, looking at the documents, I'm seeing you looking at low cost, at the best value at the low cost, at the lowest cost.
Well, when you, low cost on day one, what's the life cycle of this thing?
Again, Harry, I would say that when we look at Train, Carrier, McQuay, we treat those 3 vendors as equals. It's like,
I understand. And on the first day, it's low cost, but every day that he's interrupted because he can't use certain people at certain places, certain filters at certain places, certain repairs at certain places, every day that day one savings evaporates.
well, what I'm saying is I feel like Train, McQuay, and Carrier are the 3 pillars of the HVAC equipment vendors. We treat those as very equal in all phases as far as performance and quality.
For one reason or another, it was decided to get married to Train and not have a mixed marriage going forward. So I hear you, I understand the concern you have,
Well,
but if we change the rules now,
You're not changing the rules.
if we say, let's back up and restart, we've got 2 upset vendors.
Well, I'm upset myself because I would have been low with the Train price.
I understand. We have 1 upset vendor. Now, maybe we have 2, the one that followed all the rules and didn't get the bid, but we have 1 who followed all the rules and was awarded the bid.
Well, my suggestion would be that if you're gonna reject it, you gotta reject the whole thing and rebid it. I don't feel that it's fair. We're following your bid documents, and we're making decisions. If those 3 line items, those 3 paragraphs aren't in there, I agree with you.
Maybe do you have the bid submission document there? Is there not anywhere that they can
No,
include anything on there that
Got it
says
right
we
here.
are,
It's just a one-page with
it's a
all.
one-page deal.
Doesn't mean they can't supply whatever they want to supply.
you can't write anything at the bottom of the page that we are bidding an alternate anywhere?
Not if we don't ask for an alternate. I mean, they could say that if they wanted to.
Okay,
We
so,
don't.
I mean, I gotta agree with Jason here. If we're not gonna accept the alternate, then get rid of 2.9, screw it. We're not even gonna consider it.
Right.
But
And make it very
2.9
clear.
is very okay, because we're just saying, let's discuss this before the
That's what-
bids are
I'm,
open. Prior to the
I
bids
don't,
being
I don't disagree with
Okay.
that. But where Jason's coming from is it's saying in 2.9 that we're still going to allow it, but then on the submission form, there's not anywhere to put
I couldn't.
on there.
If I
'cause
could
you
have put an
can't
alternate in
change
here,
it,
I
so-
could have stated.
I'm not
that.
disagreeing with that part.
We don't want it here. We don't want it when the bids are submitted. We want it before the bids are submitted. So we don't need to add it here, but we want it before.
My thought would be, is if there would have been total project cost based on train equipment, total project cost based on alternate equipment, then
Then why would we even spec it? Why would we even scope the work? And we told them
We
what
usually have
wanted
something
in that
spec
scope.
no matter what. We'll
But we
spec
did
what
that.
we want.
Right, and we did do it.
We may not have a name specifying that we want train, model number MR400,
But we did it.
but on this one we did, but we still also had that paragraph in there.
But we have the paragraph in here that says even though you call out a particular model number, as long as it meets the equivalent design criteria, that it would be considered.
Prior to bid opening. It forgets that at the bottom of that.
No, I'm
It
saying.
says included in the submission, so it would, in submission would be the bid document, right?
Okay.
That's why I'm
Yes, the
reading it.
attorney did. Take it in or take it out.
Prior.
Yeah,
If that paragraph wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have made the decision that I made.
cherry picking the language.
What was that, Jill?
I said, what he's
I mean,
saying
we're-
is cherry picking the language, and here. it
Well, I didn't know if
says-
you're specifying something different. You may have a different paragraph than, I'm just referring to one paragraph. There's, how many pages? There are 30 pages in the bid sheet, so.
This is the one, equivalent material / equipment. Acceptance is subject to approval of the county, which may request further information, samples, or demonstration prior to bid award.
Okay, I'm not seeing that
Yeah,
part, so I'm
here.
looking at a different
At a
thing, so.
different paragraph. Jessica provided these paragraphs to
Yeah.
me.
I'm looking at the bid documents.
Oh,
Is
this
that the
is-
2.9 stanza or which?
She just copied these out of the RFP.
Here's the,
I've
here's,
seen that.
yeah.
I know, I'm looking at, I believe to be the actual bid documents here. And it doesn't read the same way the prior to. I'm not,
There's three different areas where you talk about having subjectivity. And that was in the award, in the evaluation, and in that material equipment deal. And those three comments are the things that are leading me to, hey, they're looking at the best value, the lowest cost. It's in there.
I would have, again, this is just me, and I don't do this for a living. I would have put a cover letter on Harold Butzer
Understood.
stationery saying we are bidding an alternate, which is Carrier, so that we
Usually
were
the-
aware of it.
Usually there is a
Uh,
process that's defined about how to do that. Since it wasn't in there, I've been kicked out on other projects because we've altered the bid documents.
okay, it does say prior to bid award, but not
Yes.
prior to bid submission, so.
Yeah,
So it hasn't been awarded yet.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, we awarded it last week, right?
So,
But now that we found out that maybe it isn't the products that he did, that's why
and
they were
that's,
coming back to you.
and that's where I'm thinking that there's gonna be a process of evaluation between, I didn't know, we had no idea you awarded it, we weren't a part of any kind of meeting to award it, we would have had the opportunity to explain it. No one asked.
I understand.
Anyway, it's really frustrating. The whole process has been really kind of I'm thinking, I'm reading the bid documents, and obviously you guys are looking at this in a different way. But again, we're providing a bid that's significantly more cost competitive. We'd like it to be considered. That's all I have.
I don't really wanna take any kind of action today. I think there's some stuff we need to look at on our. I think everybody should be notified when we're gonna do the bid award too, then, so they know what's going on. If something's coming down the pipe too, but that wouldn't probably have any effect on y'all.
It's on the
So,
public agenda, so,
right, because everybody goes out and reads our agenda every day.
well, if you bid on something, you might want to.
I guess you can put it on them, that's fine. Okay. I don't know if there's any action we were taking today or not.
Well, we need
So,
to keep moving ahead.
again, just to kind of wrap a bow around this, had that information not been in the bid docket, I would have bid the train product. Because the or equal and the valuation of bid for meeting the intent of the design at the lowest cost, that changed my viewpoint on how to approach using the equipment vendors. And so, as a competitive bid, typically the low bid is the basis of the award. If you're not low, 90% of the time you don't get the job. So, we made the decision based on those documents, those 3 sections, to use the Carrier product. The engineer had worked with those vendors. Had things been more clear, we would have bid the train product as well, and we would have been low. So if you reject us, I'm gonna be upset because we were the low bidder with the stuff that you say you wanted, and we were the low bidder with the Carrier product.
Well, trade was a preferred,
It was the basis of design.
yes, and so,
That's the key
so
there.
I think,
It was in the scope of the work.
yes,
It
and
was
our
the
other
basis of
two
design.
who bid it as it was written. So,
Well, again, I disagree with the way, when you say the way it's written, there's 3 paragraphs in there that made me do what I did. And it's saying that you guys are going to review this and consider the best value. We're just trying to offer that value, and $180,000 is what I would consider something that needs to be looked at.
Well, we can put this back on the agenda for next week.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jason, thanks for bidding it, appreciate it, as always. I've worked with y'all a lot, so we
Yeah.
really do appreciate it.
okay. We will move on. Approval and signing of the lease agreement for parking lot at 424 East High Street.
This is for us.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is a lease agreement for the parking lot 424 East High Street. This is for the laydown and staging area for our construction project. The number of spaces times the monthly charge is how they came up with the total amount. The monthly amount is $740 per month. And to my understanding, that was slightly below what the city going rate for that lot is. So GBH has requested a laydown area, not only to stage equipment, but also for the construction workers to park their vehicles during the project, so we're not clogging up the streets. So happy to answer any questions.
No questions, you got the agreement then?
Yep. And the agreement is started today, August 1st, and the first payment is due by the 5th of each month, so we'll have to get cracking.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to enter into the lease agreement with the City of Jefferson parking for the necessary parking area for the construction of the EMS facility.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Sheriff's Department TransUnion Agreement.
TransUnion is a company that we use for our investigators. It's a tool that we utilize. It's a total of $1,000 to the end of the year. We have it in our budget. It's $175 a month. I'd ask that you approve that and not get mad and throw it on the ground. Jeff?
Eastern Commissioner Jeffrey
Too
Helsher.
much caffeine, I think, maybe. I don't know. All right, are you good with it, Harry? Or have you seen it?
Do we trust him?
I already threw it at him, so.
Hurt my feelings a little bit, just saying.
Yes, I'm fine
Threw
with
the
it.
book at you. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Sheriff's Department TransUnion agreement.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unfinished business, emergency fuel leak issue. Well, I've seen you on TV a lot.
I don't see me on TV. I don't know if I'm supposed to present anything.
Well,
You might
maybe-
ask some questions or an update or what.
You might just start, do a little recap. I'm not sure how much, we've already, we did an emergency thing last week, but we have to update that based upon Friday meeting. But maybe you could capsulize what's going on.
I'll do the best that I can. I don't have any updates on where we are to date on costs from Environmental Works. I can get that. I should have asked for it ahead of time. I didn't. So, but I can get that and forward that to you. They are keeping track of that. That is part of what was the $100,000 emergency authorization to spend up to do the remediation work and clean up the spill. Since I would say Wednesday of last week, everything's been contained on site. There is still leaching of fuel coming from our property into the creek, but it's contained right at the outlet.
And it's leaching because it's in the soil. It's not leaking out of a pipe. It's
Right.
leaking out of the soil that absorbed it before.
That is correct. So the diesel fuel is still there. We're not getting so much of that leaching out right now. We're getting gasoline. We did not have a gasoline leak last week. It was diesel. The gasoline, to the best of our knowledge, has been in there for a long time. Probably goes back to the old fuel tanks that were underground back in the 90s and removed. Possibly they didn't get all of it at that time. Or it could be just some leaking over the years. We don't know for sure, but it's very old. We know that. And that's coming from the Environmental Cleanup Company. They've told us that. So that is probably the bigger concern right now. That's more hazardous, not hazardous, that's not really the right word, but it's more of a contaminant than the diesel is. So that's probably the bigger deal. It's making sure that doesn't get into the creek, and it's not. We're containing it. Again, everything's contained on site right now. So last Friday, we had a meeting with the two commissioners were able to attend and approved us or authorized us to spend the fund or do the project to replace the pipes going through our property from one end to the other through our lot there. And that will enable us to do a full cleanup of all this contaminated soil that's basically the whole run of the pipe from the pumps on down to the outlet.
That was not gonna be a full cleanup before. They were gonna kinda get what they could, and then they would do some other mitigation at the end that would gather it over a length of time, which could have been a couple years or even 5, 10.
The
as
length
long
of
as there's
time
stuff still coming out there, it's still,
That was the concern.
monitor.
We don't know how long this was going to take. If we would have gone the other option, not replace the pipes, we would have had to drill several test wells or pits, basically to suck it up as they can. And that's the thing that would take some time.
and we have water, stormwater, whatever that comes from above us that comes into that, and there could be stuff from there that got into it, which, you know, could have been, made it look like it was our problem. This will clean it up, do it right and fully.
In the most fully,
Yes.
as full as possible, full clean as possible. So the expense to replace the pipes, as was discussed last week, is roughly $125,000. We know the exact cost for the pipe, $97,000 or $97,075. There's additional costs for replacing the concrete, clean rock to put in and backfill around it. Those are estimated right now. The total gets us to about $125,000. There's also soil remediation, and that's all this contaminated soil that we're picking up along the way as we're removing these pipes and putting in the new ones. The stuff that's contaminated has to be hauled off to the landfill, and there's a process to go about doing that, and there's a cost incurred with that. We were told by the environmental cleanup company about 72,000. Just a rough guess on our part was about 55 if you just did a certain thickness. My gut feeling as we're taking some of this out, really the contaminated stuff's on the very bottom, and so it may not be quite that high, but there's also additional cost right at the pumps and the tanks that was gonna be figured in with the cleanup anyway. So it's a little hard number to guess exactly what it's gonna be when it's all said and done for the soil remediation. There's gonna be extra because of what we're doing with replacing the pipes than what we would have had we not done that. The number, there's no way to guess right now what it's gonna be, and you may never know exactly how much extra. But we felt, and the commission agreed, the best way to go with this is to replace those pipes. They're old pipes, 30-plus years old, they're plastic pipes. The type of plastic pipe we don't use on our road projects anymore. They're just, for that specific site, probably not the best, but at the time, that was a normal type of pipe to use. Plus, they're undersized, they're right barely at capacity. We've had plenty of issues because of that. So we're upsizing them and going through the process of getting this done. It'll be concrete pipe. This will be the long-term, don't have to ever worry about it again, answer to the issue. And for the cost, I think it's a good value to get it done and not have to address any of this in the future.
Will we be using our trucks to haul the soil to the landfill?
Yeah, we're using all of our trucks.
so-
We did have to rent an
Yeah.
excavator big enough to be able to dig it out and set the pipes. Ours wasn't quite big enough. Other than that, buying the rock, everything will be all our employees and equipment doing the work.
Okay.
You know, we had was it an emergency meeting, or did we had a published agenda for last Friday. Two of us were able to be there. And at that time, the number was $200,000.
That's with the pipe replacement and all the soil remediation, the maximum we thought it would be. That doesn't include, that's a number separate from the actual cleanup that this company's doing.
All right.
That I don't have an updated cost. I'll get that to you as soon as I can get something from them as to where we are to date. And it's a little bit of a guess how long that's gonna take. You just don't know. We know there's fuel that's unaccounted for that's still in the ground. We think it's kind of contained right there at the pumps. Kind of in what is probably the void of where the old fuel tank was underground.
So we actually had underground fuel tanks there at one time when they weren't necessarily required by any statute, regulation, rule,
Back in
right?
the day, that was
Diesel
normal.
station, and that was at 54.
Well,
Who knows if,
No, there was actually underground tanks on our property for our facility.
okay,
There was also, and I don't even want to mention it necessarily, but there was a gas station across the street, an old motel, a gas station.
Yeah.
And I was told that when we were doing some work in front of our lot, there was some fuel encountered there, so
Well, we acquired a station up,
not across, this is across.
I know, but up the hill,
Yes.
we acquired a gas station.
Yes.
Did it, and it had tanks either above or below up there
We
too,
were
right?
above, I'm pretty sure, and
We got clearance for all of
That was part of the sale contract, that DNR had to clear it.
Okay.
So the final answer to this, when we're all said and done, it's hard to say right now
Yeah.
where we're gonna be on things. We're trying to keep up with it as best we can. I just don't have a cost for you right now as to where we are to date since last week, since they've been here working, but I can get that.
Okay.
Just do it right.
Yeah, and we are. We've got a little sidetracked with the weather today, and it's
Hey.
probably gonna take us through the end of the week, but
I'm not gonna complain about the rain.
we just don't need, a little bit's okay, we just don't need a bunch, cause,
Yeah. No, because it, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Anything? No.
No, thanks, Eric.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're
I
going.
appreciate you all doing that on Friday, kind of last minute type of deal, because we did need a decision so we can get those pipes ordered, which everything's moving along, so, thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think under unfinished, do we want to do the clock
I figured out where
contract?
the meeting was at.
Thanks,
I
Eric.
gotta start reading the agenda when it's sent to me.
No problem.
Under unfinished business,
Yes.
yesterday, the S&N clock company was back. There was a little hiccup on the clock. It's working. Worked when they left yesterday. It's working this morning. So keep your fingers crossed on that. In addition, they have put in front of us a proposal, I think we may have discussed this before, a maintenance proposal that they would be here quarterly to assess the movement, make necessary adjustments, service the clock movement, address operational issues, adjust the movement dials. That's a quarterly trip. They would come here and I think at a fee of $1,200 annually.
Then y'all mentioned something about changing the clock for daylight savings.
Right.
And so they would actually come down that day and probably make a round trip on a lot of them they service, or is that?
They would, although we do have one of Greg's guys in the courthouse. He has some knowledge, and he's visited with the clock company about minor adjustments, and we've locked that facility, that room. There was a time when people could wander up there, but not anymore. You can't get in. So I would propose that we sign the agreement with S&N Clock Repair for the maintenance proposal at an annual fee, a one-year contract at $1,200.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. New business.
Sam, hold on. One other thing we need to do on that clock is we're gonna have to replace the heat tape up around those wheels for in the wintertime. I wasn't gonna make an electrician go up there when it's 100 and some odd degrees, so probably later this fall we'll go up and we'll have to put a digital stat up there or to bring the heaters on, say when it gets down to 35 or 36 degrees instead of leaving them plugged in all year long, so.
So that's something we can do.
No, they're gonna have to run all new heat tape around those wheels, and because a couple of them are burnt up, just to bring it to your all's attention, because they brought it to my attention.
So this S&N will do.
No, I mean.
I
Yeah,
have electrician.
something
Well,
we can do
we-
with an outside electrician.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
just
okay.
get an
We do,
electrician
but-
up there, yeah.
Okay,
I know what you were talking about and what you were asking.
okay.
So, is that up in the bell tower area then?
Yeah, it's all the way up on the back of the
We'll have to
face.
put some conduit up there to get-
Oh, it's up in the faces then?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
face up all the way there.
Each clock has a heat tape, little electrical,
Yeah.
so it kicks on to keep
I remember that being
the
up
hands
there.
from freezing up when it gets too cold and full of ice.
So,
Wouldn't have thought of that. Makes sense, though.
And I guess it's been hot this whole time, because he said several more still plugged in and heating, so we just need to address do it right, so.
unless you all wanna crawl up there each day and unplug it if it needs to be. I don't like those, that straight up ones. So, okay, thanks, Greg.
Okay, and okay. Yeah, we approved the contract.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Going on to new business, accounts payable review.
I do have a payment in there that needs to be paid, so Carmen, I asked for approval account payable pending review.
Motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of IGT payment for the 2020 final GEMT determination.
So they have completed our audit of our 2020 GEMT cost report. They found that we are due an additional $9,575.43. As you may recall, anytime we are dealing with the GEMT program, we do have to pay a non-federal share transfer amount, and then that money is then returned back to us with the final payment. So we
Please.
need to make a payment of $3,296.31. And once that is received, the state will return to us $9,575.43. So I just need your authorization to have Mark go ahead and make that IGT payment, and we'll consider 2020 GEMT closed.
Alrighty.
I'll make a motion to approve the IGT payment for 2020, the final GEMT determination.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we breezed through. Do we have anything else before we?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh.
Within the last 2 hours, we've been working on the iPro server for our camera system, the body camera and the dash cams. We bought the server, it's being in place. Brian and his staff's been working diligently on getting this operational. It came up just within the last hour and a half that we need 3 additional SSL certificates. It's about $1,400. I would ask that you go ahead and let me spend that money out of contingency to buy that so we can move forward with this and get my server operational so we can get our new body cams going.
So what is an SSL?
It's a security certificate for the UDE server, is that right?
That's SCO.
I'm just repeating everything I just
It's not
read on
even,
that. On that
it's
deal.
not even
We-
CSL, it's SCO.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, well, we get all these, and sometimes it's kind of nice to know what we are approving or not approving.
You don't know what the hell he just said. You don't know what that means. No more than I do. You know what the acronym means now.
Still got plenty in contingency.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
We've been spending a lot out of there lately, it seems like, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what we're approving exactly. Do you have a?
That's why I brought mine with me.
SS.
I got myself confused now when I asked you the question.
That's why I got my switchblade with me.
He's got a digital, it's one of those digital signature quotes. So we'll get it printed off. But
It's in the document.
I would ask that you would approve the purchase of a 3-year SS.
Hang on, I got two things going on here. It's kind of rude.
Okay,
Go ahead
hold
and
on.
Finish with what we're doing.
Okay. Could you, yeah, hold on. Okay.
I would ask that you would approve the purchase of a 3-year SSL wildcard certificate for the iPro server for the Sheriff's Department
Now I know what you're
for
talking about.
$1,440.
Really? Okay.
So it's like a one-time payment for the 3 years.
It's a 3-year
license.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a $1,440 for a 3-year certificate.
Did you get all that? I started writing it down and I didn't get it all. Cause I was trying to get how you wanted it worded
Basically,
for the
first part of it, yeah.
three-year SSL for the wild card.
Certificate.
In the
for
amount of
$1,440.
That's it.
$1,440.
Yes.
Boy, you're,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I said the same thing. You just made it look good.
Yeah, just have to put some lipstick on the pig here.
That's right.
Okay.
I still don't, so.
Do we have anything else?
So-
Sheriff, do you have anything
No,
else?
sir, that's it.
Wally's here and, well, Public Works, y'all have the mobile radar out there in Wardsville. And it's kind of funny watching it on Facebook because they're like, well, is it doing any good? They're not enforcing it anyway. And I guess they want it to start pulling people over. It's not a robot, but it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's got people talking about the speed limit there.
Well, and a lot of people, when they're driving through there, they don't realize the speed they're going. They really don't, because they're not looking down, they're thinking about work, they're thinking about kids, whatever, and they look up and see that, and they're like, oh no, and then they slow down. So it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
It is funny because you can sit down there at the restaurant and watch, so you don't see the red and blue lights come on near as much as I think they were early on. So I think it's brought their attention, and It's even gotten my attention too, because
All of us, it happens.
Yeah,
to
we
us.
were there, we ate there Saturday and
Sorry.
noticed it.
We moved that one around, or I say we, Public Works moves that around, different places. I'm actually contemplating buying another one in capital improvements for this next year to have, so we can have two for Eric to take
yeah,
care of.
I mean, I think it is bringing people's attention to it when they're going through places. You really don't think how fast you're going, and especially in the BMW intersection, it's pretty dangerous there. And
Yes.
just down the road there by Casey's too is a bad spot. So
Casey's is a bad spot.
You know, if people are driving speed limit, it's not a bad place, so.
We put those out by request, or if there isn't a request, we just choose a spot to.
I got plenty of places that, so when y'all have you don't have a request, let me know.
Yeah, I think we should have it out all the time
The
somewhere.
next place it's
They
going
do.
is out on
Yeah, I
Hannaford
think-
Road near Honey Creek or Manuel Lutheran School. We have a request there, so usually about 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks, we'll move it on somewhere else.
Cool.
But like you said, if people are commenting on it, they're seeing it.
Mhm.
It's drawing attention.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you know, wasn't gonna get in a Facebook argument with them, but I was like, yeah,
We
it's
should put
getting
a
their
fake
attention,
camera underneath it.
So. And then
That would
this-
really slow them down.
And then, the Jeff City Renegades are Mink League champions
Yes.
too, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to bring that up. And, did y'all get to go to the game when they had emergency services night at all?
I believe some people did.
Well, good.
Venture
It's-
out there.
It was
105
fun watching them this
degrees,
year.
though.
We were at the playoff game Thursday night, extra innings, and I guess they lost Friday, and, where were they at? Who were they playing?
Was
I
it
got
Joplin? St. Joe.
St. Joe, yeah, I had Joplin.
Knew it
stuff
had,
right
knew it
there.
had J in it.
Yeah, and that was an extra inning game too, and then they ended up having a shutout win Saturday to take it all, so that's pretty neat, so.
It was.
All righty, I think that's all I had.
Anything else? I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to Section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri, the commission will go into closed session to discuss the following real estate under Section 610.021 subsection 2.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Terry,
Aye.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.